It's me, Brandon Green from Goldelementautoworks. Now, oftentimes I come across many people who are struggling to remove this ABC, this tandem pump, from their vehicle. And this is a SL55, as a matter of fact, the '04. There's some videos out there on how to remove it, this tandem pump. It's very difficult, and that's why Mercedes and any other independent shop charges so much in order to remove this ABC tandem pump. Why would you want to remove it? Well, in my case, it's because I'm doing a coilover conversion. But in other cases, the pump goes bad. It is a tandem pump, meaning it's a two-part pump. And oftentimes, your system will not be able to pressurize properly, and it can be an indicating factor. Low pressure can be related to this pump going bad. So sometimes this pump does have to be replaced. It is an expensive pump if you buy an OEM from Mercedes. Excuse me. If you buy an aftermarket one, it's a little bit less. But when it comes to something so critical, such as the ABC pump, you want to make sure that you buy one from a reputable location, a reputable dealer, a company. Nothing better than Mercedes, of course, when it comes to this. Understand, people, that this ABC pump is the heart of the system. Just as the literal heart pressurizes your whole body, it pumps good oxygenated blood out. It receives the dirty blood, so to speak, blood full of carbon dioxide. And as your body removes that, the heart, again, is the central system. It regulates the pressure. It regulates your heart rate and the blood pressure itself. And in the same way within the vehicle, this ABC pump regulates the pressure. It regulates the ability for the system to do what it is supposed to do. Not to try to sound like I'm medically educated, but in the same way you can relate your heart to your body, you can relate this ABC pump to the vehicle. It is critical in the operation, the proper operation of your ABC system on your vehicle. So for those who are looking to remove this themselves, this is just a brief summary or review on how to do it. Things you have to look forward to in your struggle in removing this. The first thing that I do is I remove this pulley right here. Do it while the belt is on the vehicle. You loosen up these. These are just similar. These might not be the exact same ones, but it's the same head size. And this is a I think a 13. You use this bit right here. E12, sorry about that. This is an E12, all right? That fits onto there. You can also use an 8mm socket if you do not have the star set socket like this. If you don't have one of these, then you can use an 8mm regular socket. It will fit. Remove this first. That will allow you to pull this out once you loosen this up. It also gives you a little bit more room. But this has to come off separately from the pump. You need that space, especially with the AMG, because there's more things in the way. It's a little bit tighter space. Now, remove that belt or get the belt out the way. Use the tensioner pulley to slide the belt out the way. You can access this bolt right here, and this is a E14, something similar to this. Again, you use one of these right here. There you go, E14. You remove this one. This is a little bit longer. To access this one, you have to use the tensioner pulley, hold it back, and with your left hand and with your right hand, in my case, I'm right-handed, take this one, remove this one with a socket and an extension. It's a little bit more difficult because you're multitasking, but you have to hold that tension back as you loosen this one. There's a lot of components that are in the way, a lot of things that are in the way. The overflow reservoir, let me show you real quick. The overflow reservoir, well, the ABC reservoir will have to be removed. The bracket and all that assembly right there has to be removed so you can have clearance to get to the necessary bolts to remove the pump. And that's this big thing right here, in case you forgot what that looks like. You have to remove all that stuff right there. And that's just held down by a bunch of 10mm bolts. Now, once you remove all that stuff and tie your lines back, you're going to lose a lot of fluid. I put a drain pan right there up underneath. As you start disconnecting the lines, the rubber lines, the feed lines, you'll lose a lot of fluid. That's fine. Try not to make too much of a mess. You will make a mess though. So get that stuff out of the way. Unplug this connector right here. And you have a ground. Let me show you that real quick. You have one of these right here. Remove that ground for your ABC pump. Get that out the way. The whole purpose is to remove as much stuff as you can. You have to get access. Now this right here uses a couple of these bolts right here. You have to access those bolts. You have to remove this component. That makes it a lot easier. Before you can remove this component though, it's easier if you remove the high pressure line for the power steering pump. That high pressure line feeds into here right here. I'm sorry, this right here. Now this is for your rack and pinion or your power steering. That line right there, you have to remove that. If you can access that, it makes it easier to access this. Remove that line first. And there's another there's a bracket that holds that line. Get all that out the way. Pop this line off. That uses a 17 millimeter wrench. Get that off. Remove the bracket that holds it to this and get that out the way. That gives you more access to this right here. This is I think a 19 millimeter. These are 19 millimeters. Remove this one, get this out the way. That gives you access to this. This is the next thing that you have to remove. This is hard to remove, man. There's a bolt that runs on this right here. There's a bolt that runs through there. Again, it's one of these E14 bolts. All right, it's gonna run back up under there. You have to use a combination of small sockets and wrenches to get back there. Start off with one, and then once you loosen it, go to a smaller one so that you can have more leverage. So loosen that one first, remove that. Then you have to remove the one right here that's connected to the, what is that? The engine mount, whatever it's called. You have to remove that bolt. So there is, let's see, another one of these E14s that's holding that in. That's very hard to get to. You have to use several extensions and just find a way, use a larger wrench with an extension and a cheater bar to break it loose. And then once it breaks loose, you can use a smaller wrench and then run that through. Again, another E14. Once you get that one removed, there is one more that you have to put a light down there to see. And it is this right here. I believe this is a 13 maybe millimeter nut, and that is located on the back side of here. It's located right there. You'll barely see it. You shine some light down there, you'll see it. And that's the last one that's holding this ABC pump on. So let me just take a visual of the back, show you guys what it looks like. This is what your ABC pump looks like from the back. Again, it's very difficult to access what you need to access in order to remove it. It takes a lot of time. It took me probably about 2.5 hours to do. That's me, and I've done many, many, many of these. There's no way around it. You have to take your time. There's a lot that you have to remove. And, you know, in my case, there's a system for me to remove this thing. I have my own little system, a process. This is going to be likely your first time doing it. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult. It might take you twice as long. Very frustrating. You can cut your hands up pretty well trying to get access to everything. Now, I do not have to go up under the car to get access to anything. I can do everything from the top. You do not have to get up under the car. You can do everything from the top. I remove the plastic from up underneath. Well, it gives me light. Also, when I drop tools, I can, it falls to the ground. Again, I have a lot of drainage right there. The ABC fluid pours all over the place. So it just allows me to reassemble everything without everything up underneath being so wet and nasty. Let all that stuff just drain down naturally. You see there, I still missed a lot of it. It's hard to catch all that crap, man. It runs off of different components inside this engine compartment. But this is how you remove it, man. This right here is your power steering reservoir. I'm going to reuse that. I do not need to put a new one in there. For the SL500 or the SL model, you do not need to use another reservoir. It already comes with 2 separate reservoirs. This is the power steering, and right there is the ABC. You remove the ABC, you keep this one in place. I do move it out the way though so I can get access, but that's how you do it. All right, so now I am about to install the new standard power steering pump. That will make the system a lot more simple, easier to maintain. While you're in there doing the coilovers, you might as well swap that out as well, because it is an expensive task to go back in there and to pay somebody else to pull that ABC pump out if it fails. Now, you do not have to replace the ABC pump. If your ABC pump is not giving you issue, you can operate the one side of it, which is the power steering side. It is a tandem pump, meaning a two-part pump. So you are able to keep that pump in place. You do not have to remove it if you're going to do a coilover swap. Once you remove that ABC fuse right there, then it shuts down the ABC system. It will no longer pressurize your ABC system, but it will leak all over the place. So that's why I recommend the caps. If you're going to keep the ABC pump, buy the caps. All right? Buy the caps. In my case, I replace the ABC pump with the standard power steering pump, and I remove as many lines as I can to get all that nasty drainage and residual oil out of the system so it doesn't drip all over the owner's driveway. It is messy. It does stink. It is messy. Pitocin fluid is disgusting, or hydraulic fluid is disgusting. So here goes the new pump that I'm going to install. You can go to my website and buy that. You can go to my website and buy those caps that you need. Those caps are what I'm referring to, is what you put in place where the coilovers connect, right here. Let's see if I can get a good view. Where the coilovers connect, this line, the cap will sit right there. It will reconnect, have the same connection that's on the ABC struts. It will connect to that, and it prevents leakage or that extra fluid from dripping out. So those caps definitely help you to have a cleaner install. So yeah, with the SL55, there's more components. You have the supercharger right here. You have some of this extra stuff down here, some extra lines for the supercharger, intercooler. You have more going on, so it's a little bit more difficult. Nonetheless, it is possible to still pull this ABC pump up out of there. You have less room in front of it to play with. You have more stuff in the way, but the process is still the same. Still the same. What you're seeing right there is the that's the AC compressor. Clean all this stuff up, man, before you reinstall the power steering pump. It just makes it a little bit of a cleaner install as well. It will be messy. Just try to control as much spillage as possible. That's why I tie stuff off like this. I try to reuse the power steering fluid and kind of top it off with a similar quality power steering fluid. It has to be a synthetic. Also, let me see. These components right here, I'm no longer going to need. I simply pulled everything out and put everything together so you can see the components and what I did in order to remove this pump. It's impossible for me to show you real time because I need both hands all the time. Unless I have one of those little, I guess, video cameras on my head, it's impossible for me to do this and hold a phone or a camera or whatever type of recording device that you use. You would have to use a GoPro, I guess. So that is the process. Take your time. Don't get overly frustrated. You will use a variety of tools. Just take your time. It'll save you a lot of money doing this yourself. It is possible for you to change out your ABC pump yourself. Reinstallation is the opposite of the removal. But again, I remove these not with the intent of putting them back in there. But if you are reinstalling one, you know that you have to put all this stuff back together. So remember the steps, remember the process. If you have to write it down, do whatever you need to do to create the process or a system that you can remember. All right, guys. So those are my tips, man, for ABC tandem pump removal. And for those who want to maintain their system, man, this is unfortunately a part of maintenance, is sometimes swapping out that ABC pump with a new one. This system can be reliable, but most oftentimes over time, it is not reliable. So do what you feel like you need to do. Maintain it or do a coilover swap. It's up to you. Either way, I'm here to help. I offer advice, suggestions, opinions, tutorials. Keep going to my website, www.goldelementautoworks.com. I continue to update different products and services. And I continue to like, share, subscribe, and comment on my videos, man. Reach out to me on Instagram and Facebook. Go to Facebook, Gold Element Autoworks. And also Instagram is wide body CL55, based on this model right here, my wide body CL55. All right, guys, I got to go. I got to finish this job. And I appreciate you guys for giving me attention. If you have any questions or suggestions, reach out to me. Talk to you soon. If you need to get in contact with me personally, my information is at the bottom of my website. Again, www.goldelementautoworks.com. You guys take care. Talk to you later. Peace out.